Hey guys, this is a quick guide on how to utilize Tabletop Simulator for Lorcana play. Now, Tabletop Simulator is this really fun game where you can play all sorts of different tabletop games, whether it's basic stuff like chess, you can use it as a guide for things like D&D, you can do puzzles and all that kind of stuff. But today we'll be utilizing it to play Lorcana. So the first thing you want to do, Tabletop Simulator is a game on Steam. I don't want to spend too much time going over how to download Steam, but once you've downloaded that client, you can just search for it in the store. Right now, it is currently $10. It's on sale, and it goes on sale pretty often. And you're able to buy a 4-pack as well if you want to get all your friends involved. That will save you a little bit of money as well. But overall, regardless of wherever it goes, you can purchase the game and get it installed into your Steam library. Accessing your Steam library, you can go into Games and view the game library, and it'll be right on here. Of course, the game doesn't come installed with Lorcana directly. You're going to have to go ahead and download that game. Luckily for us, that's a very easy thing to do. When you're on the game page, you'll see lots of different buttons that can get you to lots of different places. But the one that we want is going to be called Workshop. We'll click on the Workshop button and we'll make our way. This is the Tabletop Simulator Workshop. So what we'll want to do, we'll want to go ahead and search for Lorcana. This will lead you into here. There's lots of different ones, but for the most part, all we're really going to need is going to be this one right here. Lorcana TCG Scripted 1v1 Table. All you'll have to do once you get to this screen is just press the subscribe button. This will automatically download Lorcana into your Steam file. And there's a little information about it here. There is a video guide on how to utilize the mod down here. However, I found that guide to be a little bit difficult, so I'm hoping that with this one we can keep it real simple. Now let's go ahead. Once we have it installed, it'll automatically download and install here. However, since I already have the game installed, we can hop right into it. Alright, we're in the game. Let's go ahead and see how things will work. There are two buttons, Join and Create. We're going to look at Create for now. Now we can do single player or multiplayer. Multiplayer is great for when you want to play with friends, which we will be doing eventually. You go on there, type in your server name, and then you can do public, friends, or invite, all this kind of stuff. But for the most part, we'll focus just on single player. We'll press this button here that says Load Lorcana TCG. Now here, you'll be able to see a variety of options. And, of course, our board. Right here to our left, we'll have what is the Quick Start Guide. You can zoom in, it's very high quality, so we're able to read things, understand what they mean, and get an idea of what cards stand for. That's always a quick guide, but there is a button that you can remove it with in case it's becoming too much. But it's always useful to have that readily available, especially for newer players. Now, here on the board, we have a variety of options. We have a bunch of tokens, so we can say, you know, they have resist plus, let's say, 2. You have to rotate it to be able to get the exact number. I don't always like using these just because they can be a little confusing. But what I'll usually do is have a d6, or I'll have my counters. You can stack counters, so you can do 2, all this kind of stuff. I'm going to reset the board though. But this is all the functionality things that you may need in order to actually start. But we'll go ahead, and when you're done with them, you can just put them to the side. If you go on the right one, it'll actually go in. Otherwise, it'll just kind of be on the side, which is not horrible. But just, you know, good to have regardless. Down here is our cards in hand, our inkwell with exerted and total ink, or unexerted and total ink. We have functionality buttons. We have our deck, and we have our discard, and our lore counter. Of course, we don't have a deck, so what are we going to do? Well, This button here is going to be the most important part. And this is where I think the main guide video sort of struggles, is that they explain a very complex way to import decks. But nowadays it is very, very easy. What we do is we press this button and we'll have a variety of things that we can put things in. We can go ahead and look at the available starter decks. Let's take a look at, let's say, Ursula's Return, Amber Amethyst. It'll load in, and there's our deck. But of course, we can import our own deck as well. What we can do, as you see, there are many options for Lorcana, Dreamborn Inc., Inkborn.app, etc. What we can do is we can just go ahead and copy the information from those apps and put them into here. If I'm using Dreamborn Inc., what I'm able to do is just click on this link right here. I'll copy it, and then we'll go ahead and paste the link right here. There are language options if you want to change the language of the cards, but with clicking that button, I set it just to make sure. I import the deck, and it'll take a little bit of time, but Dreamborn will eventually get it, and you can see it right here. Now, let's go ahead and get a game started. One of the functionality buttons is to draw your opening hand. So we'll go ahead and draw 7 cards. This will draw me 7 cards. This is a great hand. I will mulligan 1 just to demonstrate. I actually will mulligan 2 to demonstrate, but a cool hand nonetheless. What we have to do, though, is, of course, to mulligan. We have the option to do that in the game. Let's say we'll mulligan. Let's mulligan 2. I like to hard mulligan. So what we'll do is we'll mulligan 2, and you'll see that our draw opening hand button is changed to mulligan cards. We'll press the button again, and that'll draw us 2 brand new cards. That was a horrible mulligan. That was a huge mistake. And your opponent will do the same. Now it's important to note that even though you can see your cards, your opponent cannot see your cards. So I'm the opponent now. I cannot see anything that was drawn. We'll go ahead and draw my opening hand as well. We'll put a few cards down, and then we'll do 3 mulligan. Great. I don't know this deck that well, so I don't know what was a good thing. You'll see it automatically will shuffle too. Let's go ahead and begin the game. You can do a basic dice roll to begin the game. Shake and roll. 4. Let's say 3. We'll get better dice rolling. 6. Oop. Another dice. 4. Great. So we'll go ahead and start on our side. So now I don't draw for the first turn. Now we want to be able to have some ink. We want to be able to function. So what I'll do, I'll go ahead and say, I'm going to ink Mickey Mouse, leader of the band. Of course, that does nothing. It just kind of sits there, but we can make the game recognize this as ink. What we'll do is we'll click on the card and press the F key to flip it face down. When I drop the card, that'll mark it as ink. And you may see there's 2 numbers, and the functionality actually works pretty well. The functionality will tell us how much ink we have left and what our total is. So I'm going to play Augustine Madrigal. Of course, the game doesn't recognize that I've spent the 1 ink, because these are just pictures. So what we'll do, we'll lift the card, and we'll go ahead and press the E key to rotate it. It's a little confusing. I thought it was R, but no, it's E. It's fine. It's a Steam type quirk. But you'll see I now have 0 available ink, but I have 1 left, 1 in total. And then that'll pass my turn. This button here is the button we use to end turn. Because I'm here by myself, it won't really do anything. But generally the color will change to indicate whose turn it is, and they'll press the button to indicate the end of their turn. So let's go ahead and go to the other side. This functionality sometimes gets a little buggy, so pardon me for 1 second as I get that to work. There we go. All right, it's my turn. Now we'll go ahead, there's our dice that fell. Now we'll go ahead and draw. To draw, you just grab the card, oops. You grab the card and you bring it over to your table. You want to make sure you grab quickly, because if you hold it, that'll indicate you want to move the whole deck, which is not what you want to do. We'll go ahead and draw the card and press the F button to flip. There are other ways of drawing, but I find this is just going to be the most basic. You can find different shortcuts in the notebook. So we look at tools, we look at all this kind of stuff. So we will press the 1 key to, well, we could press the 1, there we go. It just kind of lagged, but I did. We have made a mistake on this. Let's go ahead and we have done a lot on there. Because I think I pressed 1 too many times. But if you press just 1, give it a second, and I guess it won't draw. That's fine. That's why I say, you know, sometimes it can be a little bit tough. So I like to just draw manually. Of course, this is the great time to talk about this function up here, the rewind time button. What this does, it'll rewind actions that have happened. So if you ever make a mistake, or the game ever crashes out like that, you'll be able to, you know, bring it back. Let's go ahead and do my turn. We're gonna ink a Queen's Castle. And we'll exert that Queen's Castle to play a broom. And I'll go ahead and pass turn. Now let's go over to the other side. Now that we're here, we're able to draw for turn. But of course, we're exerted. Well, if we want to unexert, we'll go ahead and press the Ready or Exerted Cards button. There we go. So let's see, now our ink is back, and if we had anything that was quested, they'll go right back. They do have a lore counter. I don't know if it's auto-loring. That function doesn't work as well as I'd like, but you can always manually add the lore. So let's quest with Madrigal. That'll put us at 1. And let's see what we want to do. We'll go ahead and I'm going to ink Prince Eric. And I'm going to play Mirabelle. Fantastic. We'll go ahead. The pass turn button has since passed, so we'll just go ahead and verbally say pass turn. There is a little bit of jank when it comes to this game. It does happen sometimes. It's not a perfect system, but it is a pretty good system, especially if you're communicating via Discord or some other service where you can verbally say, hey, this jank thing happened or this sort of thing happened, so on and so forth. Draw for turn. All right, reset my board. Thinking their board is set. You can zoom in and see, okay, he's got 2, so I can't really do much. We'll go ahead and quest broom for 1. I'll go ahead, I am going to ink a Cusco. I'll spend 2 for Flynn Rider, chain broom effect. Bring broom to the discard pile, I'll draw 1. And then we'll go ahead and pass turn. So on and so forth until the game just sort of ends. Now, we haven't talked a lot about these function buttons, and they're very important to be able to do in certain decks. These decks don't really use much with it, but we'll talk about decks that do. The first one is this one. Ink the top card of your deck. Very simple. You press the button, it'll ink that card, and it is exerted. You'll be able to see what card it was. You're not supposed to, but you are able. It's not like a random asset. So in the event that cards can be recovered from the inkwell, then that is how that happens. But it is put down sideways, and you reset, it comes right back. The next one is the scrying option. We're able to look at a certain amount of cards in our deck and take them places. Let's look at the top 3 cards of our deck. You can see that our hand has moved over to the second hand area, and we see 3 cards over here. Now we can decide however many you want to take, so we can take 2, we can take 1, we can even, let's say, we'll put 1 back, and we'll take 2. So those two will go to our hand. And we have the option to, we'll actually put 2 back, and I'll put 3 back, and I'll explain why. Because we have the option to return the top or bottom cards to our deck. And it clarifies the leftmost card will be the one that goes back to the top, and the rightmost one will be on the very bottom. So let's go ahead and do it like this. I know there's no function with this, but this is for demonstration purposes. We'll return the cards, and you can see they went back in the correct order. So we draw, and that is our Be Prepared. We draw, that is our Be King Undisputed. We draw, that is our Sisu. And same thing, it's a little harder to see, but let's say we're gonna look at one card. Let's put that at the bottom of our deck. If we, and this is not a great function, but if we take the deck and we flip it, oops, not flip it, sorry, we'll see Chernobog is right there in the bottom. So if we're doing Convulsion Nature thing, we can do this, so on and so forth, etc., etc. Although we're not going to do that. And those are pretty much all the major main functions. You can do this for as many cards as you like, and then the game just sort of goes on until it ends, and a winner is championed. Once you're all done with the game, what you can do is that you can go ahead and reset the board. You can put whether it's sort of putting everything back where it belongs, like this, and shuffle. Oh, that's gonna be tough, but put everything back in the deck, and we flip that. You can shuffle it, or hold and shuffle, and then we can start anew. Or we can just press the reset button table. So if we go to the other side, if we can get there a little bit, there was our button that we missed. We look on our other side, reset deck, that'll put everything back where you want. And then we'll draw, mulligan, oh, nope. We'll draw, and you may notice there's a little issue when I did that. It actually was very good that I did that because it showed, this still shows draw opening hand. If you ever run into that bug, you can press reset the start buttons. You still may have to reset the entire deck in general, but if you run into weird issues, you're always able just to reset that and get it to where, and get it back to where you can just play again. So we'll see right now it sort of happened again. So we'll go ahead and just reset our deck. Draw opening hand. We'll mulligan 3. There we go. But yeah, sometimes there are bugs with this. So like that one is after a bit, it just automatically shuffles. So we'll go ahead just to make sure. We'll draw our opening hand. Yeah, for whatever reason, just shuffling again. So what you can also do at that point is just go ahead and just start a new game, or you can do a hard reset. But generally, it's just kind of easy if things are getting janky, just to start things over again. It's very simple to get back into things, and it's very easy to get yourself in the game. And that should be everything to get yourself started playing Lorcana. Feel free, you can always change the deck you put in. Any kind of deck you can go and play with. You don't have to download anything extra. I know there was the JSON files that like Dreamborn uses, and you don't need those. You can just play with the decks that are made there. You don't have to get all fancy. You can just do whatever you like. And anything else that I missed will be in the notebook that'll have your tools, your keywords, information, and other support, including the Discord server where you can find people to play against, if you so choose to. Thank you so much. And have a great rest of your day.